Guys, and welcome to a live broadcast here on YouTube and Facebook. Tonight we are going to be discussing food addiction versus harmful use of food, and we're mostly going to talk about harmful use of food. But before I get started, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Diane, and for the past 25 years, I have been helping women figure out food plans and fitness programs so that they can create a life around food that will make them look and feel their best and live their most authentic life. And for me, that has been done over the past couple of years or so by incorporating intermittent fasting into my lifestyle and using that as a way to create some healthy lifestyle changes for myself and my family. I have taken what I have researched and learned over the past several years and applied it into a course that I am now offering for other aging women who are looking to do something different with their lifestyle in regards to health and fitness and nutrition, and help them get back on track to feeling their absolute best, looking their absolute best, and having an opportunity to live their most authentic life around food. So tonight we are going to mostly talk about the harmful use of food, but I have to also kind of dabble in the area of food addiction a little bit, but not so much from the clinical aspect of food addiction. I am not qualified to do that. And I am not a person who has actually really suffered with food addiction. I think I've kind of used that term loosely, and that's what I really kind of want to focus on tonight, is really kind of coming to grips with what some of the choices are that we're making with food and how we categorize, or maybe the vocabulary that we use when we kind of describe our struggles. So I want you to keep an open mind when I go through this conversation, and I want you to realize that in no way am I addressing food addiction as a simple situation. Food addiction is a very serious issue. I know a lot of women specifically deal with food addiction problems and issues, and it is a struggle that most have been struggling with for several years in their life, and I don't want to really go too much into that area. I really want to kind of focus on a lot of the conversations that I have with the women that I have been coaching, or the women that have been in my intermittent fasting group over the past couple of years, and then I'm going to take some experiences that I've had with women over the past couple decades with trying to kind of reach their health and fitness goals, and then really come to grips with what it is that we kind of use and do with food that can be not only limiting us from the goals that we want to achieve, but also in some instances actually making us sick. So if you're new, please feel free to hit that like button if you're joining us on Facebook. And if you're joining us here on YouTube, welcome. Always hit that subscribe button so that you will be informed of any upcoming live broadcasts that I do, or when I post a video on my channel. And if you know of any woman who might be suffering with some nutritional challenges, or maybe health issues, or some struggles that she's having with trying to reach her health and fitness goals, definitely feel free to share these broadcasts. The more the merrier we can invite into our community of women. I say the better we're going to be as a group. So let's get to it. So food addiction. Food addiction is something that, like I said, is a very serious situation. It is one of those things that I think you really owe it to yourself to become educated about. If you do feel like you have a food addiction that is something that you can't manage on your own, it's always best to go seek some professional help, either through a doctor or some sort of counseling program. I know personally for myself, I haven't had to deal with any kind of addiction problems, but I have been witness to addiction, firsthand with just relationships that I've had throughout my life, and I know it is something that is a very real struggle and does need to get some professional attention and some help. So we're not going to go too much on that. What I want to really focus on is how we as women who don't really suffer from food addiction can often use that term very loosely as more of an excuse or a habit that we are having a difficult time maybe getting control of or coming to grips with. And it's usually that thing that's keeping us from reaching the goals that we say we want to achieve. So what is the harmful use of food? I kind of describe the harmful use of food as just basically a habit that we are not in control of. So it's not something that's going to be life-threatening, or something that, maybe with a little bit of discipline or a little bit of education, we can't overcome or control ourselves. So it's not a clinical addiction, but it's something that we feel addicted to because it's uncomfortable to let go of or uncomfortable to create a good habit or some change to help us reach our goals. It is that thing that sometimes if we know better or we know we shouldn't be doing something, or maybe it's causing an adverse reaction in our life, or like I said, maybe it's keeping us to our goals, but we still are not taking that knowledge and putting power behind it, and we're not using the knowledge that we have to get us out of that bad situation and create some new habits for ourselves. So even though we might be feeling sick, or we've been told that maybe something that we're doing in our nutritional life or maybe our fitness life is making us sick, but we don't have really the will to get rid of what it is we're doing and get ourselves healthy or on a better track. So harmful use of food is also an addictive lifestyle, but again, you're not clinically addicted, so it's something that's not like chemically bound to your body, but it's more, it's going to cause some maybe uncomfortableness, or it's going to be one of those things you have to kind of detox off of, and it's going to be a couple days of uncomfortableness, so you're not really willing to let go of it because you haven't really built up that willpower to go through that uncomfortableness. And it could be a mental willpower, an emotional willpower, and oftentimes a physical willpower as well. So, these harmful uses of foods. The food industry, we all know, has been set up to create foods, and when I say create, I mean like actually create things that they put in foods that do make us addictive, whether it's habitually addictive or chemically addictive, like a sugar addiction. And the food, a lot of the foods that have been developed in our society over the past couple of decades have been engineered to create habits. So that's where I say it's not something that may be chemically addictive, but it's habit addictive. And I know for me, I have had a couple of those situations, and I always say the couch and the DVR are my two worst triggers for forming a habit. So late at night, we sit on the couch, we watch one of our shows, you open a bottle of wine, you open a bag of popcorn, and before you know it, you've had a couple glasses of wine and eaten an entire bag of popcorn, and you kind of blew your entire day's worth of excellent food choices because you actually sat on the couch and turned on one of your taped shows. And so that's one of those kind of habit-forming things that we can very easily get caught up in, and it's going to be those things that keeps us from reaching our goals, but we haven't really built up the willpower to make the change or set up triggers. So at the end, I'm going to tell you some things that you can do to kind of create some new triggers that can help you create some new habits and break some old ones. So for me, one of the triggers that I have is the couch and the DVR, and late at night when the house is quiet and you feel like you have the right to have a couple glasses of wine and eat a bag of popcorn, and you stop thinking about all the goals and all the things that you really want to have for yourself, and you kind of let your guard down and you fall into those habits that are caused by those kind of triggers. So it's not always our fault, but I think what happens is we become a little bit unconscious of what some of our actions are when we either get relaxed or we're feeling a little bit stressed out, and doing things like treating ourselves to, what would be the bad foods or the harmful foods over time can be that thing that we are trained as a society to add into our life as rewards or a way to soothe ourselves in a stressful time or a depressed time or a sad time or a time when things are great. I know in our family, my husband and I have talked about the fact that we're celebratory type of snackers or treat people, and we tend to celebrate with food or a glass of wine or going out to dinner when it would be just as easy for us to celebrate at home and continue to make our good food choices. So for us, a trigger is when things are really good in our life, we tend to reward ourselves more than we probably should. Once you identify what that trigger is, you can kind of reel it back and build it into your goals and know that you have that tendency, and then you can kind of gain control of things. So it's not always our fault. It is sort of that thing that society has built in, that oftentimes when you're stressed, and especially the mom market and the older woman market is definitely, kind of advertised in the wine drinking department, and it's that thing that, we deserve to have, and it's super cute to drink wine and get together with your girlfriends and you drink wine, and then before you know it, you're drinking a bottle of wine and you had no intentions of drinking wine. But it's easy for us to get marketed. It's easy for us to have that emotional buy-in, and it's easy for us to justify it because for a lot of us, by the end of the night, we are stressed out, and we do feel like we have that right to kind of kick back and relax. And oftentimes it's with things that maybe aren't part of the plan that we had in the morning. So if you are that person, or you're feeling like you're kind of that person, then I always say just kind of check in with yourself and make sure you're conscious about what it is that you're doing, and that you tie back into your goals. And again, at the end, I'll kind of give you guys some tips. And then to go even farther with a lot of the women that we're working with in our group, a lot of us are at that age, that 40 to 60 age range, where things start happening with our immune system and our autoimmune system, and we start to pick up all these autoimmune disorders, or we have aches and pains, and we have a lot of those perimenopausal or menopausal symptoms that are often, soothed with a lot of the comfort foods that are so readily available to us. And again, that being alcohol is a big thing, caffeine is a big thing, and oftentimes the caffeine and the alcohol thing tend to kind of counterbalance each other. So you stay up late rewarding yourself with a glass of wine, and then you tend to have to drink your caffeine all day to stay up, and then you're drinking your wine at night to come back down, and then you're drinking your caffeine all day to get you through your day. And so we kind of end up in this vicious cycle, and before you know it, you're falling apart. And it's very easy to fall into those kind of things. So, and again, with even with the PMS symptoms and the menopausal symptoms, treating yourself to some chocolate, or treating yourself to the salty, crunchy things, or maybe if you're that person that is, kind of geared toward the carbohydrate side of things, and having those days where you're, just soothing yourself with those foods that make you feel good in the moment, but then maybe later kind of have some regrets about it. And oftentimes those foods could be the thing that are actually leading you to feel bad in the first place. So education's always key, and then being able to make that conscious decision of knowing that what you're doing is probably the cause of how you're feeling, and that sometimes we have to just kind of be real with that, and then make a decision to make some changes. So my suggestion, if you're wanting to make some of these food changes and you're wanting to break some of these harmful uses of food habits, is to set yourself up with some new triggers. So what I always suggest doing if you find yourself in that cycle of bad habits with food that you can't break, and you might be terming it as an addiction, like I'm addicted to Diet Coke is a big one, or I am addicted to having my glass of wine at night, or I'm addicted to, I used to say I'm addicted to, chips and guacamole. And I'm not really addicted to chips and guacamole. I just would like to eat them every chance I get. But if there was no chips and guacamole around anymore, I would be fine. It was just my way of justifying eating something that wasn't exactly the best nutritional choice I could make. And so I kind of tagged it with I'm addicted to it, so that I made myself feel better about my food choices. And so that's what I kind of want you guys to really hone in on and zero in on when you're speaking your food dialogue through the day, or you're kind of justifying some things in your life. And then you kind of have to sit back and realize what those things are that might be keeping you from hitting your goals, or might keep you from feeling and looking your best. Are you really addicted? Or are you just making some convenient bad choices that you're using a dialogue to justify them? And I know I've been guilty of that myself. So here's what I do when I find myself in a position where I'm feeling addicted to things, but the reality is I'm just making bad food choices, and I need to create some new triggers and some new habits. So I always say that what you want to do is take a breath. Then you want to be still in that breath for a second, and then ask yourself a question. And the question that I often ask myself is, how will I feel 5 minutes after and whatever it is I'm about to do, have a donut or a glass of wine, or maybe eat something that I know is a trigger food for me for an intolerance, like some gluten or some soy or some dairy. So if I eat some ice cream, or I go have frozen yogurt with my family, I now have to pause, take a breath, be still for a moment, and say, if I go have frozen yogurt, how am I going to feel about 30 minutes afterwards. And I know how I'm going to feel. I'm going to feel bloated. I'm going to feel a little nauseous. I'm going to be really gassy, which is not a comfortable way to feel. And then the very next day, I'm going to feel very lethargic and not my best. And it generally makes my body inflame, so I won't look my best either. And then I'll start having some regrets. So if I can kind of walk myself through that scenario, then I can still be with my family when they're having frozen yogurt. I just don't necessarily have to partake in it. And knowing that I'm making a good choice for myself based on all those questions I just answered, then it makes me feel like I'm more empowered in control of myself and what it is that I'm trying to do. And it's really not an addiction, but it could have been something that I was trying to justify that I wanted to do, which I knew was bad for me in the first place. So you want to breathe, which is you want to create a feeling by just kind of taking a nice deep cleansing breath. Then you want to just be still and start to think about what it is you're about to do. And then you want to literally actively ask yourself the question, how will I feel 5 minutes after I make this decision? And oftentimes what will happen if you do those 3 things is you'll be able to talk yourself out of something that you're about to do that you're going to regret 5 minutes after you do it, or regret the next day when you wake up in the morning. And then what happens when we get into that indulge and regret and indulge and regret and indulge and regret cycle is we believe we're addicted to some things, and then we can justify making those bad food choices, and then in the end what we end up is becoming sick, and then we have a whole lot of work to make up to try to get ourselves well again. And so you want to breathe, be still, and then ask yourself a question. I heard something really funny the other day about desserts, and they said there's it's not like a surprise that if you spell desserts backwards, it equals stressed. And oftentimes when we're stressed out, especially as women, we feel like we can de-stress by having something that would be considered a dessert or a treat. And what we need to do, I think, as women is kind of reclassify maybe what desserts are, and maybe make our own grouping of what desserts are and ways that we can treat ourselves when we're feeling stressed out. And why isn't that we can't reward ourselves with maybe a walk outside, or a moment to kind of just be alone and breathe and meditate or pray or listen to some music? Or for some of us who are, if you're a young mom, or maybe you're a grandmother and you're around, your grandkids all day, just 5 minutes alone of having an opportunity to just be and breathe and think and maybe just close your eyes and just be alone could be enough of a reward to de-stress us so that we can get back into the conscious mode and make better decisions for ourselves instead of continually sabotaging ourselves. So I always say that we want to, be cautious and aware of everything that we're doing and making sure that we're always in the moment and not checking ourselves out and being sort of numb to the decisions that we're making. And I think if we can create some triggers for ourselves by just, stopping and breathing and thinking and asking ourselves a question, then we can train ourselves to make some better habits. We won't have to do maybe such a long process of it, but we can kind of just go, oh yeah, I need to ask myself that question. Or we won't even have to ask ourselves a question. We'll be able to answer it without having to even ask it, because we'll remember what we've been through, and those bad feelings that we have will be more on the surface than that instant little gratification that's only going to last momentarily and then lead us into that regret. So another trigger that I teach women in my group to do, I always say make sure you have bright colored sticky notes and a nice pen on hand. And if you need to create some triggers for yourself to kind of make you stop and be conscious in the moment so that you can breathe and be still and ask yourself a question, is I always say put sticky notes up. You can put these in your bathroom, you can put these on your refrigerator, or you can put these on your kids' snacks in the cupboard that are not yours, that maybe you tend to dig into, and then kind of use your kids as an excuse, your grandkids as an excuse of why they're in the house in the first place, and just put a note on there and just put, these do not belong to you, they belong to whoever they belong to, and kind of make you stop in your tracks before you go in and consume something that you're going to be regretful for. And we need to start eating like adult women who know better, and I always say that, the harmful use of foods is not necessarily our fault because of some things that the food industry has done to make them addictive. But when you know better, and you know that those foods can be that thing that could be a trigger for you that causes some symptoms or signals that your body's sending you, or maybe is causing you to not be your best, or some of us literally sick, like I found myself a couple years ago, then we have to kind of stop and maybe realize that some of that is our fault, and that we're intelligent enough to know the difference, and we need to be strong enough to put ourselves first so that we look and feel our best and can live our most authentic life. And I think we need to stop throwing the word addicted around so loosely, and maybe have a little bit of care and concern and respect for some of those people that we know that maybe do have some battles that they're kind of fighting with true addiction, and that really we're just making bad choices. And if I stopped and said, man, chips and guacamole are a really bad choice that I make. Think about how that sounds when you say it out loud, as opposed to, man, I'm addicted to chips and guacamole. We can so lightly kind of blow that off and laugh it off as a joke. But if I really said, chips and guacamole are probably a food choice I shouldn't partake in so often if I want to have XYZ results, then I would probably stop in my tracks and think, man, maybe I can kind of pass those up this time. But saying that I'm addicted to them is almost like giving myself permission to have them whenever I want, and maybe that's not such a good idea. So what I'd love for you to do is think about some of the ways that you describe some of the habits that you have that might be keeping you from looking and feeling your best. And if you're not looking and feeling your best, then you're probably not living your most authentic life. And that's ultimately the goal that we want to live as healthy women, is being able to live authentically in our own skin and be present. And to be present, we have to be confident in the way we look and feel. So what words are you using to describe some of the bad habits that you might have that maybe you are, and justifiably so, a little nervous about letting go of? Because letting go of something that you have had in your life for a long time, and if it is one of those foods that your body is addicted to chemically because of some of the sugars or carbohydrates, it is a little bit uncomfortable to let them go. But I can tell you from the experience that we have had in the group, the groups that we have had this year with our intermittent fasting, that the discomfort is momentary. And the way that you'll feel once you are kind of through that battle, and a lot of times it's more emotional than it is even physiological, emotionally letting go of some of the things that we think that we have to hold on to so tightly. Once you feel amazing, there's very little that you'll let back into your life that could jeopardize that feeling. And feeling amazing is exactly what it is. It's amazing. And a lot of times some of the things that we're doing to kind of self-sabotage ourselves or justify some things are keeping us like just shy of amazing. And so think about the words you're using to describe some of the things you're doing. Think about maybe some of those silly little habits that we have in our life concerning food, or maybe some of the things that we do even with alcohol, especially as women, and the chemical imbalances and hormonal imbalances that we're creating in our life. And no, you don't have to give it up completely, but maybe just check in every now and then and see if maybe you need to do the things that you're doing as frequently as you are, and maybe if you cut them back a little bit, if that might be enough for you to kind of feel some improvement and get that much closer to feeling amazing. And then be true with yourself. And make sure that you are making those choices that are going to make you look and feel your best, because you're worth it, and the people in your life sort of deserve for you to be at your best, because if you're your best as a woman, then everyone around you seems to sort of raise the bar as well, and that's what happens naturally. So we deserve it for ourselves, and then I think we owe it to the people that are around us, because we do tend to be the person that does raise the bar for the others around us. And I think that you'll see that happen once you kind of get it for yourself. So let's see if we have any questions or comments. I'm going to go to YouTube first, because I think I went to Facebook first last time. Okay, welcome. Oh, my way. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're excited. Hopefully it was what you were expecting. Debbie, hey, girlfriend, love being in your June group. Oh, Debbie, thank you so much. Is it Marlise, I think it is? I'm not getting anything. Are we stuck? No, we're good over here. Chrissy, thank you so much. I switched to 24 today in such ease because of these videos. Oh, Chrissy, so glad. You guys, if you're in our July group, I don't want you. I had someone comment something about they weren't fasting yet and they were worried about getting into July group. Don't worry about not fasting or anything yet and having no experience. We work on that from day one, and a lot of people who are fasting currently find that they're not fasting correctly, and we get that fixed right away. So don't worry about it. We will get you all set up in July. Janet, welcome. Nice to see you. Susan, hey, let's see. I'm kind of going through these fast. Okay, that's my assistant talking to someone, so I'm going to pass by that really quick. Gigi, hello there. What is your take on chia seeds? We'll talk about that another time. I'm going to kind of try to stay on topic here. Over Comer, hello, diet fasting topic tonight, on track and gearing up for July. Oh, awesome. Patricia, do I need to have a Facebook page to join the July group? No, you do not need to have a Facebook page to join the July group. And I think Kara just answered that. Rita, how are you? Pamela, good to see you. Let's see, a lot of deleted messages. That means those are unwanted people. Let's see, I had black coffee today. Rita, okay, so this is a common question. Rita, we'll talk about that in July group. I'm going to try to stay on topic tonight so we can get people up and on their way this evening. Susan, I always crave sweets after dinner. Once I have something sweet, I feel satisfied and can start my 16 to 18 hour fast. Cool. So you crave sweets and then you have sweets and then you're fine. So I think that that's great, as long as it doesn't make you go on some sort of, something with sugar that you can't control. Cynthia, the nuts you eat for snacking, are they during fasting time or your open window? If I ate nuts during my fasting time, I wouldn't be fasting, Cynthia. I believe that holidays, family, friends are triggers. Yeah, I know, Nicole. If I ate nuts during my fasting window, I wouldn't be fasting. I am a firm believer that when you're fasting, you need to be in a truly fasted state and not take in any calories. Tracy, totally a stress eater. Just started IF 4 days ago and still struggling with wanting to overeat as soon as my fasting period is over. Any advice on how to not overeat once your fast is over? Tracy, are you in our July group? Pamela, Mimi, the May group was so helpful. I totally look at food differently. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Pamela, you're so welcome. How do you feel about drinking kombucha? I don't drink kombucha. It's way too much sugar and stuff in there. Hi, first live, excited. Oh, super. Thanks, 3 Welcome to have you. June group, I've learned so much. Thanks, Diet. Oh, you're welcome. Nicole, you're doing great. And Nicole, I want to talk to you about what you posted in our group. We need to, I don't know how, maybe I'll do a live or something in there, but I want to talk about what you were talking about today. Heather, dating, it's a problem with IF. Oh, yeah, I don't know. My husband, thankfully, is IFing with me. Marnie, hey, Marnie, good to see you here tonight. A celebration is a trigger, wine time. Okay, Donna, so if you're at a celebration and you feel like you're the person who maybe ends up drinking more than you planned on drinking, what I always suggest is flanking alcohol with water. And you can always ask to have your water put in a wine glass so you feel like you're partaking in what everybody else is taking. So have water, have sparkling water or maybe a fancy water, then have a glass of wine, and then have water, and then have wine, and then have water. And you always start with water and you always end with water. And that way you'll end up just filling up with a bunch of liquids, and hopefully you won't be able to drink as much until you can kind of, figure that out. I'm one of those people too. I'm a celebratory person, so I love to be in a party and I love to have fun. I love to be around people. So it's one of those triggers for me too. So if you're not supposed to take in any calories, what about the coconut oil in my black coffee in the AM? I don't know, Karen. For some people it works. For some people it doesn't. I just go calorie free while I'm fasting. It takes the guessing work out of it. I don't have to worry about possibly breaking my fast on accident, so I just don't do it at all. Okay, let me come over here to Facebook and greet everyone who's here and then answer any questions or comments over here. And then YouTube, I'll be back over there. Kana Lee, good to have you here. Yvonne, hey girlfriend. Faith, good to have you here as well. My assistant Kara's here. Randy, hello from Missoula. Hello, Robin. Hey, Wendy, good to see you. Shayla's here. Michelle's here. Nancy's here. Liz is here. Jenny's here. Jenny from Michigan. Yvonne, yes, unconscious eating was a habit I had to break. IF controls it for me. Yeah, I'm an unconscious eater too. I always tell the story about when I'm a kind of if you haven't guessed already, sort of an A-type control freak personality, and I'm really trying to work on that. But a really hard time for me was when my kids got home from school and they were unpacking backpacks and shoes and coats were everywhere and homework was everywhere. And I could literally stand in the pantry and eat an entire bag of goldfish and slam about 2 Diet Cokes and not even know that I just consumed all of that. And it was just because I was stressed out and felt out of control. So I would literally stand in the pantry like I was in a closet, and I would do that and not even know that I was doing it. So I had to just create a new habit for myself. And that's when I actually started drinking my shake. And so instead of doing Goldfish and Diet Coke, I started drinking a shake at that time. And just the process of blending everything together and getting it all poured in a cup really did create a new habit for myself. And so that helped me break my Diet Coke problem, and it also helped me from eating all my kids' goldfish. And so I just had to create a new trigger and a new habit, and it worked really well. But I was very unconscious in that moment. Hey, Maria, good to see you. Laura, good to have you. Stephanie, wow, what a timely topic for me. Oh, good. I hope it helped, Stephanie. Misty, yeah, I know. Tracy, good. Sybil's here. Jessica's here. Jessica, okay, good. Yvonne, we do raise the bar. Yes, we do raise the bar. And I think it's a blessing and a huge responsibility that a lot of women don't take seriously. But, you know, I think if we set a good example, then everyone sort of follows in kind. And so if you don't like things that are going on around you, maybe look back a little bit and see some of the things that you're doing and see if maybe you can change some of your things and then get people to kind of follow. Is July closed? No, Randy, July's open till tomorrow. So I don't know what time tomorrow we're going to close it out because we had a lot of people registered today. So I say if you are looking to get into the July group, I would get in quick. Jessica, Mountain Dew is very difficult for me to give up. Yeah, so Mountain Dew has, especially if you were drinking the full-blown Mountain Dew has the highest caffeine in it and it's high in sugar. So you get the caffeine chemical addiction and you get the sugar chemical addiction. So, you know, that's one of those things that you sadly have to kind of bite the bullet on for a couple of days of feeling bad. But this is how detoxes work. So if you're trying to break something that you feel sort of like addicted to chemically and you know it's going to hurt when you try to break it, know this. Day one is a pretty easy day because your motivation is there and your excitement is there and you have all the confidence in the world you're going to beat it. So day one of trying to break something is easy. Day two is usually when your body starts screaming at you with a headache and fatigue and, you know, the aches and pains start settling on day two because your body, usually when it sends you a signal of a headache or a hunger or a fatigue, we generally run to food or caffeine or sugar to fix it and quiet us down. So since you're consciously not going to quiet it down, the feeling or the sounds or whatever it is your body's doing with you seems so exaggerated because you're not muffling it. You have to get through day two. Day three, those signs and signals seem to start to quiet down a little bit. They're not totally gone, but they'll start to quiet down because you're not giving in. So you're not like it's almost like starting back at day one. So if you would have fed it, the aches and pains on day two, then day three, you would have to go through that cycle again. So if you completely resist it day two, day three is easier. Than by day four, generally you're home free and your body will stop yelling at you. So you got to just get through day two and day three. If you know that going in, then you just plan for it. You have plenty of water around, you take a nap, you make yourself emotionally and psychologically busy, and then you kind of just deter your attention and you have to just white knuckle it and get through it. Once you're at day four, you're home free unless you dabble back into the thing that you kind of have that chemical addiction to. Hey, Carly, good to see you here. Tracy, can I get into the July group, please? Tracy, you have to go to the link. My husband just posted it, and I would get in tonight because we will be closing it for sure tomorrow. Hey, Christine from Perth. Gail, hi, just back from walking our dog and nearly missed you. Oh, I'm glad you didn't miss us, and I hope you had a good walk with your dog. KJ, just completed my first 16-hour fast, broke it with boiled eggs and a cup of tea. I think I'll work up to between 18 and 20 per fast. 20-hour fasts are, well, I always say they're the sweet spot for women. Chris Johnson, I can't wait to start Shakeology. Awesome. Did you get my email and get it ordered today? If you did, let me know and I'll go in and check on it for you. And then make sure also, Chris, that you apply for your free sample pack from us. Doreen, Nashville, good to have you here. Joy, hi Diane, wanted to know, keep me on the track. Thanks. Wanted you to know you, so keep me on track. Oh, Joy, thank you. I'm glad we are keeping you on track. This is a great community here, so stay plugged into us. Carla, I am excited to start in a couple of days. I know, I'm so excited. The beginning of a group to me, oh my gosh, it's so fun. The first week in our course is just absolutely amazing, so I'm super excited for you guys. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here to YouTube really quick and see what else we have. Oh gosh, lots of comments since last time. Okay. Debani, good to have you here. Donna, that's an awesome idea. Never thought of that. I'm not sure what you were talking about, but let me know what you're talking about, Donna. Carrie, do we have to be available live for the July group? No, the live, this stuff is just information and for us to gather and kind of hang out, and so I can talk back and forth to you guys. But the course is actually all online, so no live. Mary, I am in the 102.53. I don't want to lose weight, but really enjoy IF. Trying to eat as many healthy fats during feeding window. Any other suggestions? I would say just make sure that you feast well, Mary. Lots of healthy fats, and just make sure you're getting enough calories. And you'll know if you start to lose too much weight, just bump up your calories. Okay, let's see. Okay. My assistant is awesome. She answers questions before I get there. Overcomer. Karen, which switched out coffee in the morning with herbal tea and push your coffee back to your feeding window and have your coconut oil. Well, there you go. Karen, I'm confused. I thought it was one of your videos, which is why I started doing it. That said coconut oil fat did not break the fast state. No, so for some people it doesn't. I used to use coconut oil, but then I kind of got a little bit of like an allergic reaction to it. So for me personally, it's easier to just go black coffee and water. I don't think about it, and coconut oil doesn't make me feel good, so I took it out of my coffee. If you're the kind of person that benefits from coconut oil in your coffee, then I say yeah, go for it. But for me, and the way I like to teach the women in my course, is I always suggest going with as little crutches as possible. Try things as slim as you can, and then you add them in slowly and see how they work for you. So if it works for you, I say it's okay. Black coffee is okay because there are 0 calories. I'm so enjoying IF for the first time in a long time. I'm not craving, and I'm only eating 1 good meal a day, and I'm not hungry. Love watching your videos. Oh, Gigi, I'm so happy. Jennifer, thought one of your videos said you could have coconut oil on your coffee without breaking your fast. What hours are best to fast and what hours are best to eat? I'll be trying to lose weight. Okay, so intermittent fasting, the way I teach it, is built around your lifestyle. So you determine what hours are best to fast and best to feast. And then the coconut oil, you just give it a shot. If it works for you, then it works for you. It doesn't work for me anymore, so I cut it out. Okay, cool. Hurry up. The 1st of July. I'm excited. I know, I'm excited too. You guys, I swear it's like, oh, it's the best. We start out kind of, just kind of girls hanging out, and we end up being best of friends by the end of our class. And so I can't wait. I can't wait to get to know you guys better. I'm excited to start in a couple of days. I know. Joy. Okay, cool. Okay, any other questions or comments? So I really wanted to make tonight about come to like grips with ourselves and come to reality with what it is that we're doing to ourselves and what we're kind of allowing society to do to us. And at some point we have to stop blaming others, right? And kind of take the responsibility for ourselves. So I know, because I went through that horrible sick time in my life, what makes me feel sick and what could lead me down a really sick path. So now I know, I'm educated. Now I can't say that it's anybody else's fault if I don't feel my best, because I'm educated and I'm experienced. So I know if I have gluten too frequently, or if I have soy in any form, or I'm consuming cheap fun dairy like yogurts and ice creams and things like that, then I'm gonna feel sick. So that's when I have to own that and take responsibility for myself. And I have to make sure that I'm using my words properly when I'm describing situations that I'm in. So in no way, shape, or form am I addicted to chips and salsa. I just happen to really like them. And if I go out and eat cheap chips that are fried in soybean oil, I'm gonna get sick. And there's nothing that I am willing to risk at this point in my life, because I feel absolutely amazing. I don't want to jeopardize that. So I have to take my knowledge and my experience and always put that into play when I'm making choices for myself, and not let convenient excuses put me in a position where I'm going to jeopardize the hard work and all the sacrifices that I've made to get me to this point today. So if you find yourself in that position where you're flipping and flopping at it, feeling amazing, and then feeling crappy, and a lot of times for us it happens Monday through Friday, we feel amazing, and then the weekends roll around and we allow ourselves to feel crappy because we make up excuses, and we tend to kind of cheat ourselves with little lies about food, and we kind of throw to the wayside what it is that we really want for ourselves. And then Monday morning rolls around and then we self-sabotage and beat ourselves up, and we try to make up for it all week long. So let's get real, let's get serious, and let's put ourselves first so that we can be the best that we need to be. We can raise that bar. So if you find that some people around you might be struggling, or maybe you're using them as excuses for why you're sliding back on some of your goals because so-and-so is doing it, so it's really hard for me not to do what I want to do, it's not going to fly anymore. We already know that we have control of ourselves and that we can stand our own ground and make good decisions for ourselves. If you feel like you are struggling with some of these things, not the food addiction part, because that is a whole separate issue that I am not really skilled to kind of deal with. But I can help you with excuses, and I can help you with maybe the justifications that you're making, or some of the habits that you might have that might be keeping you from doing what it is that you want to do. And I can help you because I was that girl too. And so I've put some things in place that have really helped me in my life, and now I can teach you how to do some of those same things. And stop, breathe, be still, ask yourself some questions, use some sticky notes. As ridiculous as it might seem, that as a grown woman, you have to put sticky notes around your house to write notes to remind you to stay out of goldfish and cookies and whatever it is. It works. So it's not silly if it actually works. Now, if you put a sticky note on a bag of goldfish and you rip the sticky note off and you eat them anyways, yes, that is silly. So pay attention to the notes that you write yourself. You're doing it for a good reason. Stop and pause, ask yourself the questions, and then get yourself back on track. I am going to look through really quick and see if there's any more questions or comments. Is it correct that any calories take? Yes. No, I mean, fats don't take you out of your fast, but you just got to make sure you're using them properly. Hope we can discuss menstrual cycles and IF. Maybe we will sometime this week, Dorothy. I'll put that on my list. What's the URL for the general Facebook page? Just search it on Facebook. You'll find it. Okay, one more time through here and then we'll bust out of here. You mentioned calories changing the caloric intake. Shouldn't we not have to? You don't have to count calories. Nope, not total calories. Mad love. For the first few days, I had to remind myself that I'm not going to die. I will get to eat. You won't die. We have 40 days of stored body fat on our bodies. Even people who are at their ideal weight have plenty of body fat that you can burn off. It's surrounding all of your organs. It's, just laying right underneath your skin. It would take a long time to die of actual starvation in today's society here. And in most of, if you have an internet connection and a smartphone, you probably have access to food. So you're not going to starve to death. Will you be uncomfortable and hungry? Absolutely. But in the intermittent fasting for today's aging woman course, we call that magic. When you can be comfortable in a hungry state, that's when the magic happens. And oftentimes when you're hungry, you reach for food and you feed yourself. You do not need to feed yourself. It is actually okay, and it's actually healthy to be a little bit hungry. So don't be afraid to be in that place. I don't know. We were going camping the first 4th. I will miss. Melissa, don't worry about missing the first 4 days of class. You'll be fine. Oh yeah, as far as the chips and salsa, Carrie, now I know what you're talking about. Yep. Anna, first day of IF, trying to figure it out. How many meals should I eat in my window? I don't know, Anna. That has to do with you and the lifestyle you're trying to create. Okay, the magic is real. Yes, the magic is real. Love your advice. Thank you. And is butter from grass-fed cows okay? Chrisella, if butter's okay for you, then grass-fed is the best. I don't eat butter because I can't do any dairy. Butter makes me absolutely sick. But if it works for you, grass-fed is the best. So that's a good choice there. Okay, so I am going to get off of here. I have some consult calls with my June class members tonight. I hope this topic helped. I wanted to kind of keep it light. I didn't want to get too, serious on the food addiction thing because I have respect and I want to support my girlfriends and women who do actually suffer from food addictions. Like I said, I don't personally know what that struggle must be like, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't go on that side, but I kind of wanted to go on the side that most of us deal with, and that is excuses and habits that we're kind of uncomfortable with having to break, and getting real with ourselves. So I hope if you're that person that this helped. If you would like to get into our July group, my advice, and I know I'm going to hurt some people's feelings and bum some people out, but we have to hard close registration for our course tomorrow. So if you are interested in getting in, I strongly encourage you to get in tonight, or early tomorrow morning. I'm sure by midday tomorrow we will have to close things out because it is just getting overwhelmingly large, and I'm doing my best to accommodate everyone, but at some point I'm just gonna have to cut off a registration because I'm only one person, and I do want to honor all the promises that I make for you as a registered member of our course. Links have been posted in both of the comment feeds, so make sure that you go back and check that out. YouTube, it'll also be in the information section if you're catching this on the recorded version, and if you're catching this on Facebook, you can catch, if you click on my timeline banner in the description section, there will be a link over there as well. Make sure you get your About You forms done, make sure you get your consult calls completed, scheduled, and I'm super excited to meet our new group of women. I'm loving our June group, and I loved our May group and our April group and our March group. So the community of women that we have been gathering here is just getting bigger and stronger and better, and thanks to you guys, that's why it is what it is. So keep your comments coming, keep your positive support for the other women who are commenting and sharing their stories as well. I always love to see the love and support that we have for each other here in this community, so keep that going as well. And then I will see you guys tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and hopefully I'll see your registration come through tonight or tomorrow morning if you haven't registered yet. Thanks, you guys, and have a fantastic night.